Hello, found footage fans, and welcome to We Found a Tape.
Tape Talks.
Welcome to Tape Talks, a special new series from We Found a Tape. Here we sit down with directors, filmmakers and cinematographers to deep dive into the creative process behind found footage filmmaking, from writing and shooting to the journey of bringing these unique stories to life.
So left out of the cool beards club. I know it would be inappropriate for me to have one, but I do feel like in the lineup there's something missing.
Trust me, you're the coolest one out of the two of us, so
for sure.
No.
Hello everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Tape Talks. We're joined today by filmmaker Maggie Levin. She is known for the incredible VHS 99 segment Shredding, also her work on Black Phone 1 and 2, and an honorable mention that we love is the Wanted Man video for Nick Nemeth. So we're very excited to talk about that.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for joining us today, Maggie.
Oh, it's an honor to be here. The Wanted Man call out, I mean, it's a relatively recent thing, but it still feels like a deep cut because it's just, it's a specific niche. The people that know, the ones that know. And I'm so glad.
I was very excited. I was doing some research. I was like, no way she's directed this video. And for anyone that doesn't know, you have to check it out because this not only is the video badass, but the song for Nick Nemeth, and this was a deep cut mainly because he was at WWE for so long, and then he joined the Indies, and that was his first like spotlight thing after, I don't know if it was like his non-compete clause happened, but how did that come about? Like, what was that like?
I've been friends with his brother Ryan Nemeth for a very long time. Ryan is the partner of another dear friend of mine and someone who shows up in my work all the time, Anna Laurie. And Ryan came to me in, I want to say like 2019, 2020, with his script for a short film called Heel, which played on the festival circuit. I'm very proud of it. I directed that off his script. He starred in it. So then when it came time for Nick to launch this new persona, both of the Nemeths came to me, which I was very flattered by, and kind of pitched what they wanted to do, what Nick was after with this new character. And Ryan and I wrote that script and we shot it in a day here in LA with a great team. And, it was some real Evil Dead. I mean, getting to play in that wheelhouse was so much fun. We just had a good time. And, Nick has such a Escape from New York quality to him already. It was perfect.
It's funny because when you mentioned that, it gave me sort of Big Trouble in Little China meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Evil Dead is the vibe I got.
Yes, that's exactly what we were going for.
Fantastic.
Yeah, down to the groove, down to the last groovy. It was really fun, and we got really lucky that night too. It started to rain just hard enough to give us like a little piece of fun production design, but not so hard that it ruined the shoot. So that felt like the movie god smiled upon our little film, and it's had a nice life too. Like people really dug it, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing.
So, and as a couple of wrestling fans here, we totally, we're into it. So
awesome. Wrestling is incredible to me. It's I know that a lot has been made over the last couple of years. I think like Iron Claw also helped some non-wrestling folks understand a little bit of what's going on in wrestling. But I have to say, like, I came to it late. I came to it because of Ryan, and the first live wrestling show that I saw was at a fundraiser I helped produce, and it was electrifying. Like, I think that like your average person who hasn't seen, who just thinks of WWE as like Hulk Hogan, this like antiquated sort of 90s thing, I would highly recommend getting into a live wrestling show, because it just blew my mind. I've seen all kinds of theater and performance art throughout my whole life, and there's just nothing like that. What they do is incredible.
It is. It's one of the oldest forms of entertainment as well, really, in terms of wrestling, and the theatrics. There is, and there's another, and this is probably another deep cut, but the the man who's made the mask for the grabber in the back phone, Jason Baker, is also connected to wrestling, as he now makes all the masks that are in there. He made the mask for Bray Wyatt, and now he's done it for the likes of Rhea Ripley, and anytime Cody Rhodes, anytime someone makes there's a mask on TV, it's usually Jason Baker. And
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, there is there's also, I think, a lot of natural crossover and love between the wrestling community and the horror community. I just see that the two fan bases are very compatible. And I think we all have a similar sensibility, things that the tactile, real nature of our fiction. Like, it's sort of this like meeting of two things, of something completely ridiculous and something really authentic in terms of the effects of it. Yeah.
And
plus violence.
Well. Music as well is such a huge part of it, and of course the music is a big part of Wanted Man, and it's also a huge part of Shredding, which is your segment from VHS 99. Again, I've said it before many a time that's by far my favorite VHS movie, but also one of my favorite segments, truly. And I'm not just saying that just because you're here, but I have told many people on many different forms of media, whether that's on forums or Facebook groups or whatever. Anytime anyone brings up VHS, I always make a point to say VHS 99, but also honorable mention for Shredding. So I just wanted to say that. It's great. Just before you came on, I was literally saying to David, because I have it's a steel book of VHS 99.
Oh my gosh.
Which I got, and I'm obsessed with it. And a VHS triple feature steelbook.
I didn't even know this existed.
99 and 85. 3 tapes, 1 nightmare. So I have those.
Well, I'm learning about all the stuff I need to get from you.
Yeah, this was I saw this in Walmart in the US somewhere, like Virginia or Florida or something, and just saw it on the shelf. I'm like, I need it. I already have a steelbook of VHS 99, but I also need a copy of 94 and 85 and 99. Exactly. So my black phone stuff is in the other room, but I wanted to make sure I brought these out to show it, and it has your name in big letters along with all the other directors at the bottom there. So
radical. Man,
I thought that would be a cool thing to show off.
Well, I got top billing also. I think that's in order. That's in chronological.
I think it is in order.
I was like, why am I on the top? That's great.
In my opinion, it deserves to be at the top, but that's me. I don't know if I'm being biased or not, but yeah, it's my favorite, so can confirm that.
Well, that's really meaningful. When you join the VHS family, especially when I did, so kind of deep into the franchise. There's a very high bar to hit, but you also have to hit it with your own sensibility. I think it's a real opportunity for filmmakers. I mean, of course, the series is very good about sort of bringing back alumni and bringing in, really powerhouse names in horror. But if you're someone kind of at my level, you want to put your stamp on it, bring your own personal flavor to it, and hopefully stand apart in some way. So I really tried to fulfill the assignment like only I could, with only what I know best. And it really was a joy to make. And I got to I got to work with a lot of people that I really love, and I'm so proud of the film still. I hadn't looked at it in a while, and I revisited it a couple of months ago because I needed to send it to somebody for a different thing, and I was like, this is pretty fun. Yeah, there's something like scary about looking back on the work you did a couple of years ago. I always like worried that I'm going to be really embarrassed about what I did. But that one, I feel resoundingly proud of.
Good, yeah. It really,
When you make something that awesome and you have fun while you're doing it, I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that, right?
Yeah. Well, and one of the big gifts of the VHS series is the kind of no holds barred, breaks are off, like
Right.
you're supposed to go nuts. You're supposed to go to the most gonzo place that you can. So when I arrived at turning this little punk ass group of teenagers into meat puppets, that was really the origin of the idea, was the meat puppet finale. And kind of work backwards from there. I really wanted to have, sorry, spoilers, but I really wanted to have Ankur, the drummer, be just like a pile of slop on a drum kit, but it didn't quite work. So he's much more animated. But that, the McGee Effects team did a spectacular job, not just on that part of it, but the look of the bitch cat zombies, who of course are very Return of the Living Dead inspired. And, also when we got to yoink Caleb up into the ceiling and drop a bucket of slop all over the floor, making horror movies is just the best. It's so much fun.
I love that. In terms of the VHS, like how did you become involved in that? I'm always very curious because I've never really met anyone that's been involved in the VHS franchise. So how was that? Did they come to you? Was this a case of?
They did, yeah. They came to me while they were just about to begin production for '94, and they at that point had a script for a wraparound that was kind of different from what they wound up shooting. I couldn't do it because I was on set second unit directing for the first time, actually, for the first Black Phone in North Carolina, and they were already in pre-production, I think in Vancouver. But I said, please keep me in mind. I would love to do a segment thinking, of course, at that point that I was probably missing the boat. This was going to be a one-off because they had done 1, 2, and Viral, and there's this huge gap, and then '94. Plus, '94 is such a nice vintage, like such a good year. I really wanted to do '94, but there's also something at that point a little bit cursed about the wraparound. Like, it's never the popular thing to do. It's more of an honor to get to do a segment of your own. I think that David Bruckner has perhaps shifted that perception. I thought the wraparound in '85 was really superlative, but couldn't do it anyway because I was on another job. And indeed, they did keep me in mind, and they called me when they knew they were going to do '99. They called me right away, which was really incredible. And I had a couple of thoughts, but I pitched almost exactly what wound up on screen to Brad and Josh, and off we went, just figuring out how to do it. And we got to shoot it in LA, which for me is always a real treat. Getting to do productions near home is unusual. And we found a warehouse downtown that was unbelievably haunted looking. There was even a Killer Clowns like stand-up doll just like tucked in some random corner. Awful, awful vibes. So very easy to turn into what we needed it to be. Yeah, and our production design team had a field day making like weird little burnt doll shrines and turning an already kind of messed up building into a worse building. Yeah, and another thing that was really special was the casting process. I brought in a few people that I already wanted for it. You know, Joshua Derrickson, who's my stepson, who is an amazing performer. Jesse LaTourette for Rachel. And then two of the bitch cats are also friends of mine, Tybee Diskin and Verona Blue. But the rest of the cast was through audition tapes, through a casting director. And, you know, it's been unbelievable to have cast Jackson Kelly, whose tape was perfect and is such a great person, such a great actor. And then Amina Nieves, and both of them have gone on to have unbelievable careers. Like Amina won a BAFTA, and Jackson is like the lead on The Pit and the lead on all this other stuff, and they deserve every bit of it. But I do feel a little bit of like a proud mom thing where I'm like, I feel like I just yoinked your tape out of a pile and off you went.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
I'm always excited to see. I really love actors. I love working with actors so much. There's so much that's very special about what we do as filmmakers. But to me, where the rubber meets the road, what I'm there for is to tell great stories with great performers. So it always gives me a little jig of joy to see them succeed.
Of course, yeah. And it goes to show that you had a keen eye for talent. Clearly, if they've gone on to do such big things, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah. And it's
I don't want to toot my own horn too hard. They did it. It's their success, but I feel very proud of them.
Of course, yeah. And of course, we were talking deep cuts as well. You mentioned your stepson. He was also in VHS 85.
Yes.
As part of Scott's segment.
Yeah.
Which I also watched again last night. And it also as well stands out as the best one.
Dreamkill goes so hard. Like,
oh yeah.
I think my husband is a very brilliant filmmaker. And I think that Dreamkill is one of the best things he's ever made. I think it's underrated. I think that the scene, first of all, also it's the first, I think it's the introductory piece for anything that Atticus, my other stepson, has composed for. So like the music in Dreamkill is radical, and I think the music in Black Moon 2 is even better. He did the entire score for that, and it's amazing. But there is a needle drop in Dreamkill called Hamburger Lady by a band called Throbbing Gristle. And that song is unbelievably disturbing, even without any imagery, but set to this, grimy kill film of that guy getting knocked around that house and stabbed is it's gnarly.
Yeah.
It's
gnarly in a great way.
Yeah. I literally like put it on because it's been a while since I'd seen 85. So I was like, I'm gonna put that on as well and refamiliarize myself. And I was like, God, this fucking hits so fucking hard. It was badass. And I agree, he's brilliant. I've been a fan since Sinister, so
he knows how to make something scary. I've been very blessed to go to basically horror grad school as his second unit director for the last couple of films, and there is really, it's a skill to make something very scary, and he really knows how to do it. And I can only hope that I can continue to make movies in that tradition of like that really get under your skin and live there. But part of it is like pure instinct, I think, on his part.
For sure. Before we start to sort of move more into things like Black Phone. One thing I wanted to also ask is the you mentioned the effects for shredding. Am I correct that the same team that did the effects for shredding also did the Ratma segment for
He did.
94 as well?
Yes.
You said it was a McGee.
Yeah, Patrick
effects,
McGee.
That's right,
Patrick
yeah.
McGee is the leader of that team, but McGee Effects is the effects house, and the dedication, especially on a fairly small budget, the amount that Patrick did for shredding is really unbelievable, and all of it flawless in my opinion. I mean, if you saw those meat suits up close and the heads that the bitch cat ghouls wore, the boots as we called them, it was all really extensive, really like high level work, and I think that's part of like why I think that's also part of the flavor of a VHS segment is it has to be practical. You can do some VFX enhancement, and we did a very minimal, like, paint out a pull line here and there, add a little extra blood here and there, but most of what you see, like really 98% of it is all in-camera effects, and I think that's why you watch those films, is for sort of achievements in those areas. I think about what they did for Flying Lotus's segment in '99 was insane, and Ratma, of course. Everything in '94 is really gnarly on the effects front.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm going to be using the word gnarly a lot today.
I mean, it's warranted. I mean, gnarly is the perfect way to describe some of these effects. The meat suits and the meat puppets, the zombie makeup, it was very, and you see, there's a lot of flying body parts, and they're pieced together, like the ankle to the leg bone. I was just like, oh my god, this is insane, and I love every minute of it. It really encompassed that '99 vibe, the Jackass type vibe is what I was getting from it. Even with there's like a clip of Ryan Dunn, I think.
Yep.
At the start, and he's going over in the shopping trolley, and I was like, oh, this is the perfect way to kick off '99.
Well, that's when I was that age, the age of the kids in RAC in that exact year. That's what we were all watching and emulating and doing. I think prank video culture has lived on in a big way, but it was so prevalent, and just, I mean, you got to wonder where we were as a culture. We're so bored, I guess, that the idea was just, how much can I ruin my own body and my friends? How much can I torture my friends? That was really the energy of 1999. And I think, we got a little bit of criticism about, like, well, these kids are so obnoxious, like they're so annoying. I'm like, yes. If you were there, we were so annoying.
Right, yeah.
And also, if they weren't annoying, you'd be a little sad. I didn't want anybody to be sad that they died. You're gonna, I mean, I understand there are ways to slice that. In a slasher, you can have the body count be one that you're mourning, but that was not the point of shredding.
Yeah. And I know that when I first saw it, I was obsessed with the Bitch Cat song. That I still listen to, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's a Bitch Cat radio station on Spotify.
Really? Awesome.
And I'll send you the link to it after we're done here. But I've lost count how many times I've listened to it this week. But I like to stick on music, and that's one that when I was looking up, like, just Bitch Cat in general, I was just like, let's see if I can find this song. It popped right up. And so the music was definitely a key part of that segment. And I think I've also heard you talk in other interviews about the music in the segment is kind of like a Blink 182 type style. How important was that, and how did you find this particular song to use in the film?
Oh, absolutely essential. Dressage is the name of the artist and composer, and she is, she's the ghost writer, ghost entity she is Bitch Cat. There's a little bit of Chubby Diskin's real vocals in the song, but both that song and the song that the sort of garage bandy Blink 182 style song that Rack performs is also Keely. Her artist name is Dressage. She also goes by Keely. So Keely was my composer and also the songwriter on My Valentine, which is the Into the Dark episode that I did for Hulu. She wrote 3, I think, unbelievable, perfect pop songs for that movie and did an amazing score. And I knew, again, wanting to go into 99 with as much like ammo as I could of things that I knew were going to be able to execute at a really high level on a low budget in a short amount of time. I start to think about like where am I going to bring in, some of my superpowered collaborators. And so I knew from the get-go, because I was dealing with bands and because I was dealing with riot girl bands, that I was going to call Keely and talk her into doing that with me. And thank God she said yes. So all credit and power to Dressage, because I assembled a number of playlists of, I think it needs to feel like this. We're going for these specific influences. With Bitch Cat, it was really trying to nail something that's a little bit pre-1999. We're going for something that would come from 95, 96 maybe. So we're looking at L7, Bikini Kill, a number of girl bands from really that mid-90s zone. And we had a couple of thematic items that we knew we wanted to get in there. I'm trying to think of what the specific lyric is. There's something in there that I find funny every time. I should just Google it really quickly. Bitch cat, diamonds turn black.
For me, I know that the "Get Off My Fucking Stage" is it's the hook, right?
Yes.
And,
well, and that was also like an intentional wink of what they were going to come back and do. I think that "I'm No Angel" is such a mid-90s girl band thing to say. When I saw that appear in there, I was like, this is perfect. It's so funny. Yeah, and it has a lot of allusions to what's coming. And the way that I designed that character setup segment, that sort of EPK emulating video with the Bitch Cat, so you could get to know who your ghosts were. My stepmother in the mid-90s worked for Virgin Records. And so I was one of the guinea pig American middle schoolers that got to see a bunch of Spice Girls material right before they made their American appearance, their first big American appearance. So Andy brought home some of their promotional materials, and I had this VHS tape that had an EPK. I aped it almost exactly, almost down to the exact questions, and put that together to interview them in that exact same kind of fun, splashy way, interspliced with performance footage. So that's where that comes straight out of 1996, and then we bitch catified it, and Andy Holton, my incredible editor, did such a bang up job of just like in all of those little details, the Rack video, the Bitch Cat video. He's also a real appreciator of that period of time. we're the same age. He also, I've maybe said this on other interviews, but one of the coolest things that Andy did editorially was sort of handcraft video glitching. We shot on a multitude of different formats, but he took all that footage and then was like running it through different kinds of playback and sampling every sort of little scritch and scratch and glitch across the screen, and then putting those into the edit. So we have a lot of like very detailed, subtle work in there that, you know, I hope it just plays like fun found footage, but we spent a lot of time on that.
100% it does. It's that was another question I had, sort of just about the process of making that. Like, was that the VHS, was it kind of like an overlay, or was that something that was built into it? Because some especially nowadays, everything's mostly digital, right? And it's very hard to shoot on those types of older camera setups and things like that, and mainly to get good audio is probably the biggest problem, I would say. So so it's good to know that you kind of ran it through all these different ways to try and get that effect.
Yeah, and we shot on a couple different kinds of cameras. I think only the concert performance footage of Bitch Cat was shot on a modern HD camera. Everything else was era specific. And we only did that because of the camera movement that we had to do for shooting the stage performance. Everything else, I think almost 100% of it was shot on, I'm going to forget the model of camera, but it was the go-to camera for skate videos and for, I'm forgetting the name of the series now that led to Jackass. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
My head, no. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm
though,
talking about? I'm having a real I'm blanking on the name of it, but you know, they would stick a fisheye lens on that camera and go do skate footage, and then they would do kind of interstitial skits, and that eventually turned into Jackass. And so we shot on that same camera. And I'll tell you, when we went to that skate park in North Hollywood with that camera, there were like, you know, grizzled 90s skaters who were coming up to my DP and going like, "Oh shit, is that it was like a celebrity showed up." That camera is legendary. And so that's I think that translates into the like real authentic feel of the segment. And we were real sticklers for as many places as we could get the real thing from 99. We were getting it. I mean, and down to Rachel's bedroom is covered in stuff from my room when I was a kid. I called my dad. I was like, "Ship the boxes from the garage. I have a use for it. I'm getting it out of your house finally."
There you go. Perfect.
How long did it take to shoot the entire thing?
A week.
A week? Okay.
Yeah. I think it was actually 5 days proper of footage of shooting. Yeah. Which is fast, but also a good long time for a filmmaker like me. That's a luxury. That amount of time. I'm used to working on a really tight schedule. And with that amount, the only thing that was a little bit daunting about the timeline were the makeup effects. You know, we had a lot of people to put through the works really heavily, and a lot of footage to get with them once they were done. So there were some long days, but boy, they were fun every single day.
That's a pretty good amount of time. I mean, as well,
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like a short amount of time with the makeup effects and everything, because usually with found footage, I mean, past interviews when we're interviewing different directors, some have done it over a weekend, some have done it like in 2 weeks, depending on the movie, you know, stuff like that. So it sounds like a short time, but like you said, for you, it's probably, you know, a luxury because you can stretch it and do everything in that time frame. So
yeah, I mean, to me, more than a day. I mean, like Wanted Man was a day. Like,
yeah.
that was tight. It was a squeeze, but you know, in those situations, as long as everyone on your team really understands the movie you're making and you're all driving towards the same goal and you're all excited about it, it's not, you know, you're going to be met with some curveballs, of course, but I really felt like my team on 99, we were all so amped about what we were doing, and everybody understood the film from the get-go, from the script level. You know, also the costume designer, Jenny Newman, she was like a kid in a candy store. She went out and got real Jenkos that had never been worn. And, you know, it's like, we're all just psyched about the nostalgia factor. So it was a good time.
Nice. I do remember first hearing that VHS 99 was going to be coming out, and I was very excited because, as not only a found footage fan but a VHS fan of the franchise, I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm 94 had come out, and I enjoyed it, but all of the VHS always had something that kind of not put me off, but I was kind of taken out of it a little bit.
Sure.
VHS 99, for me personally, and I've said this a multitude of times, like, to me, this is the most perfect example of VHS, because not only is the wraparound story fantastic, and like you said, is one that like typically goes, oh yeah, and people don't really like it.
Mm-hmm.
This, for me, I loved it. I loved the way it was done. And then all of the other stories are all very specific in the era. They reference things in the era. And also, like, it feels like a tape. Like, and to me, it's probably one of the only VHS movies, anthologies, that actually sticks to what it's saying that it is, which is a VHS tape full of just chaos.
Well, so, and that was, I think, you know, I really wanted to have the feeling of something being taped over for my segment. And, you know, you have no control over the movie as a whole. You're just sort of like siloed off making your thing. But that was something that Andy Holton, the editor, and I talked about a lot. And I also had put into the script. I wanted those glitches where you see pieces of home movie that it's taped over. So we really did that. My segment begins with that weird doctor video, like I'm forgetting what kind of medicine journal, like, and that was, I went and bought a pile of, I think it was like 60 VHS tapes that somebody was getting rid of for $2. And half of them were like garbage home movies and like all kinds. And, you know, if I had had it my way, I would have looked through every single tape. But we were, because of all the tape transferring we were doing on set and then in post, that was something that popped up one random day, scrubbing through one of those videos randomly, and we kept it. And that's how this segment opens. But that lived in feel was really important to me, and I'm glad that it translated for the movie as a whole, because that's also what I remember from the era too. It's like any tape that I made with my friends, I was putting masking tape over a existing VHS, a copy of Little Mermaid or Popples or something of my parents that I was ruining, like, you know, taping over tapes again and again and again until they warble. And it makes it feel more haunted that way.
Yeah, it sure does.
And I think as well, like a lot of that aesthetic is coming back now. So like, and being people that lived in that era of VHS and taping over things and doing that, like it's cool to see it. But then I'm just kind of like, well, I lived it. Right, you're now trying to seek it, and it's now an expensive hobby of getting VHS cameras and VHS tapes and things like that. So I'm like, we were very fortunate where we got to live in a period where it wasn't as crazy expensive.
What drives me nuts though is when people try to fake it. You know, I know there's a lot of great filtration and like hacks that you can just jazz up your iPhone footage with, but I'm a purist about this stuff. I'd prefer to do it the hard way. And I think that's if you're like me, you'll also enjoy that aspect of Black Phone too, which is dealing with an even older medium and a whole lot of it. And it's Scott's favorite, it's Super 8.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, you're mentioned there about Black Phone. Of course, you had work on that. One thing we were both curious of is from a second unit director, like what were some of your main roles? What were some of the areas in the film that you were directly in charge of or influencing?
In the first film, I mainly did really detail work, inserts. So whenever there's a close-up of somebody flushing a toilet or stuffing dirt in a phone, it's like all this little tiny stuff that's really finicky and took a long time. Also the dog coming down the stairs, which we had to do like 26 times. But I only shot, and I also did the title sequence for the first film, which was really fun. And I was more off the leash for the title sequence. And that was like, I put forward an idea for Scott about this sort of fusion of childhood violence and then the idea of the kidnapping kind of meeting each other, which is really just presenting the basic idea of the film of like real life violence meets this kind of other higher level violence. Then on the second movie, things were really ramped up in every way. As you'll see when you see it, the film is a lot bigger in scale. It sort of grows the ideas in every level and takes it really from a sort of contained supernatural thriller space into a real proper horror movie. It is bigger, badder, gorier, and gnarlier in every way. So given the scale of the script and the length of time that we had to make it, you never have enough money or time. So Scott from the jump said, we're going to need a lot of second unit if we're going to come even close to meeting this schedule. And I think in the end, main unit filmed for 43 or 44 days and second unit filmed for 35. So
wow.
I would say my unit shot about a third of the movie.
Wow.
And so to cover the scope of what I was directing would take all day. Sit there with the movie going this. But the short version of it is in the first 30 minutes of the film, there are some flashback Super 8 dreams, which if you've seen the trailer, you've seen a lot of that material of kids being chased in the woods and being murdered in horrific ways. So I murdered all those kids myself. I did a lot of running around in the woods at night with very endearing little Canadian actors. So those films, which of course were, everything is in service of Scott's very specific vision. And when you're directing second unit, in any context, I believe the job is similar to being a writer in a TV writer's room. Your job is to write in the voice of the showrunner. My job as a second unit director is to direct in the voice of the director. And Scott sets a very high bar that I'm really proud to be, trusted to meet. And I think because of the time constraints and the scope of what we had to do, our shorthand as a couple, as collaborators, is really important. It would be nearly impossible to do the amount of work that my unit had to do if I needed to take every single shot to a director and ask for him to sign off. What we did instead, of course, was a lot of prep work, and then the reins were handed over, and there was a lot of trust. I had a great team up in Canada. My DP and my ADs were, I mean, there's too many MVPs to count on Black Phone 2. I mean, it was amazing. Yeah, shout out to my entire second unit crew, because they did an unbelievable job. And there was a great variety of things that we needed to do. We shot Black Phone 2 mostly in and around Toronto, in Etobicoke. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I'm saying that correctly. Yeah, and then the location work was all about 3 hours north in cottage country, in the Algonquin Highlands. I forget the name of the town that we were actually near, but it didn't really matter. We were in Nowhereville.
Yeah,
We were in the woods.
yeah. I was excited when I think I saw that you posted on like Instagram or something on your stories, like wrapping up in Toronto. I was like, no way, they've just filmed Black Phone 2 in Toronto. That's insane.
Yeah,
But it doubles
No.
as New York quite a lot. So
yeah, we weren't using any of that, like, really. It does have a New York-y footprint to it in the city, but we were making it play for Denver, which was a tall order for certain bits, but
Right.
when it came to the Snowden Rocky Mountain camp, we found a really great spot. I feel like I got to do everything under the sun. I got to like fly kids from wires, underwater, all the underwater tank work, anything that involved getting into or out of water was all my team, or
Wow.
underwater, which is very dangerous and slow, painstaking work. Like, in order to do water work safely, you really got to take your time. I got to throw a stunt woman. I mean, not me personally, but I got to do the shot where there's a girl that goes flying across a table, Nightmare on Elm Street style. I got to like shoot people flipping on roller blades, which turned into ice skates. It was really an unbelievable variety of work, and I'm really so excited it comes out so soon. People are going to really it gets to belong to the audience now. I can stop talking about it like a dream I had once.
Just hearing about all the work that you were doing on it, with everybody, I was already amped for Black Phone 2. Now I'm just like super pumped now to see it.
Heck yeah. I mean, I think it's a ride, and it really, to me, delivers on the emotional depth of the first movie. It really takes that, it builds on that. A bunch of these screenings that we've already had, I can hear the audience crying, which is crazy.
Oh.
Given like where we go and the level of the gore and the scares and the entertainment value, and then it goes there. It's really been a treat to be a part of that movie from the beginning of its life, and really when Scott handed me the script to read for the first time, the first draft, my reaction was like, well, you did it. You did the thing that no one would ever think you could make a sequel for Black Phone to begin with. To do it in this way is the only way. You have to do something bigger and more, giving the audience more of what they love, not just repeating the same things over, but really taking you to a new place. And that cast has grown into those parts in a different way. So you're going to see some like really high level acting from those kids now that they've had a couple years to. Not that they did a bad job in the first movie, it's like they're little movie stars now. It's crazy.
Yeah, the performance, and especially the first one, I really the big, I think for a lot of people, maybe the big selling point was, obviously Ethan Hawke being
Yes.
there, but after watching it, you're like, damn, these child actors are fantastic. Like, especially like Finney and sister. Like, I remember seeing it the first time. I went to the movie theater. We went with like all our family to go see it, and it was just mind blowing for me personally. I'm a big fan of Scott's. I'm a big fan of Ethan Hawke as well. So seeing them in a movie again was just so surreal to me and so great, and it came across so well, and I was obsessed and telling everyone about it. When I heard that they were making a sequel, I'm like, oh, are they gonna get
Right.
Scott Derrickson to come back? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then I found out that Joe Hill, obviously the writer of the Black Phone book, had written a book, and I'm not sure if this is true, but he had pitched the idea to Scott to make the sequel. Is that true?
The way that it went down, Scott said he wouldn't sign on for a sequel unless there was a great idea. They approached him about a sequel immediately as soon as the movie was a success, and he's like,
Sure.
first of all, I don't really do sequels, and only if there's a great idea. And then I'm not sure how long it was before Joe approached him with and he'll talk about it in interviews, I think, in this coming week. He came with the kernel of what the movie really is, sort of basic piece of really interesting backstory reveal that sort of launches. And then the basic idea, which you've seen from the trailers, is like set up so perfectly from the first film that it's kind of like when they set the story down in front of me, I was like, oh, duh. The whole first movie is ghosts calling on a phone. Now the grabber is a ghost, and he's the one who's calling. Like, it's like, yeah.
Makes sense.
It's so simple, but that's where the best ideas are, is in like pure simplicity. And so, yeah, Joe, I think, pitched that, and then this other sort of emotional backstory piece, and that set them off, Scott and Cargill, in the direction that they went. And the movie also shifts focus from Finn to, it's a little more Gwen's movie. It's really a two-hander. It's so much about that brother-sister relationship. But where the first movie is Gwen participating in saving Finn, this is about Finn saving Gwen. And I think it's a really cathartic and exciting experience. That's also really scary. So that's the important part. If you get all the other stuff is gravy, it has to be scary.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Yeah,
I have to say,
I'm so
and I have to say, in the first Black Phone, the sister was my favorite character because she comes from an alcoholic parent that is tough on them, made her tough as nails, and then you have the scene where the brother Finney is getting jumped by 3 kids, and she just comes out of nowhere like a badass with a rock in her hand and just hits the crap out of that other kid, and she's getting hit too, and her and the kid that got hit, they're just kind of like sitting there, just watch this, because they've gotten hit themselves and they're just a bloody mess, so they're just kind of sitting there, watching everything happen. And I don't know, she's just a great character, and she really helps find him in the end, because she has that psychic ability from her mother. But yeah, she's my favorite character in the whole movie.
Oh, well, I think you're going to be very happy, and Madeline does just, Madeline's so game. She wanted to do that stunt where she came in and got flipped over, and like, she was really into stunt work at that point too. She did the majority of her own underwater work on this movie, her own major stunt work. She, of course, everything was within like, what can we do safely? We don't want to put her in any kind of harm's way. But one of my favorite moments that I got to shoot with her, she does this kind of running baseball slide into the water, into the icy cold water. And as she's being pursued by evil, spoilers, I guess. But we really needed her to nail it in maximum of 2 takes. And we're dealing with a thing that I would never do myself. There's like a little bit of runway, and then she has to like drop and slide into this like created ice hole on top of the tank while she's being filmed and while she's acting. And, you know, to me, like a very complicated, high stakes thing to do. And we only had time to change her and get her dry. If it got messed up, we would be like hard pressed to get in another take. Anyway, she did it, nailed it in 1. No practice, just did it.
That's a true badass right there.
Yeah, she's awesome. And same with all of the completely underwater work. She got scuba certified for it. But she had to do, you know, eyes open and do all this maneuvering around really specifically and not breathe. Also, if you breathe at all in tank work, you get, you know, bubbles out of your nose and mouth, which does not look good on camera. So she did breath control. I mean, I think we shot all of that underwater footage with her right after she turned 16, and I was just blown away. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I don't remember what I was doing at 16. Nothing like that.
And one thing when I was looking up just the Black Phone in general, I found that Madeline is actually sisters with the main character in Megan.
Wow. Classic.
Which is like I'm just like going down this rabbit hole of like this insanely talented family of,
the McGraw sisters
of actors. Like it's the McGraws are just insane.
Yeah, they really are, and they're kind of like, they remind me of like a vaudevillian family in some way. Like they've just decided that this is what they all do. And Violet came and visited our set at one point in one of the worst. It was so cold that night. Maddie was out biking in her pajamas. I think that was the shot, and we had Violet in the tent, and it was so cold. I mean, appropriately so. I think when you see breath coming out of everyone's mouths, you're like, oh yeah, it's really winter.
Yeah.
We were all freezing to death.
Especially filming in Canada. And when was it? It must have been in the middle of winter, or at least part of winter.
Yeah, we began in November and finished at the end of January of this past year. Yeah.
Oh, and it was cold.
It was. I preferred it when it was snowing. When it's snowing, it doesn't feel as bitterly cold. But yeah, there were a few nights also, my very first experience when I was filming the outside of the Grabber house, and there's a scene where you see somebody climb a fence. We got rained out. At first time I've ever said, I have to send everybody home. We can't get the shot. Oh my goodness. Dog visitor.
You wanted to be in the podcast.
I love it. Who's
Cody
this?
always likes to report a few
This is Cody.
Cody. Oh, nice to meet you, Cody. Yeah, there were a couple of unbelievable weather events. That shot got rained out once. And then also when we went up to the camp in cottage country, we were supposed to use a whole bunch of fake snow. And the day we got there, the environmental testing came back and basically determined you can't use any fake snow because on the off chance it gets into the groundwater, it's not 100% environmentally safe. So we arrived with we're supposed to shoot there for 2 or 3 weeks, and it's supposed to look like a historic blizzard has occurred, and we had nothing. We had, it recently rained. We really thought we were totally screwed. And then as Scott would call it, the one true movie god smiled upon us. And the next day we got an epic snowstorm, and then it just kept on snowing. And we were constantly changing our plans for what we had to do because it it became like, well, the whole strategy we have for what we're going to shoot and how we're going to shoot it is different. And we're chasing continuity with like, is it actively snowing? How much snow is on the ground? How much has melted? You know, it was a lot, but it was really fun. I think I just keep coming back on this podcast to like, but it's really fun.
gnarly, and it was really fun is going to be the cliff notes for this one for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, there's a factor of like, if you, I don't know who gets into filmmaking just casually. I got into it because it was my dream, and so anytime I'm filming, I just feel like this was my dream since I was little teeny tiny person, and now I get to do it as my job. Are you kidding? I'm the luckiest person alive.
I love that so much.
Amazing.
It's and I mean, it's definitely, it comes across in films when, and I've said this a few times to some people, that if you have a crew and, you know, someone at the helm that is just truly passionate and believes 100% in the work that they're doing and they're looking to put out, then it translates across the screen. And in everything that I've seen that you've made so far, that has come through tenfold. So
Thank you.
it's, yeah,
I really
it's
I want people to have a good time at the movies, you know, even if it's something
amazing.
short form they're watching on their phone. I think that's the business that we're in, making horror films and making something for a community of people to experience, hopefully in a dark room all together. And, you know, I believe wholeheartedly that you got to, especially if people are buying tickets, like, you got to give them their money's worth. You got to give them a good ass time, and it's got to be scary.
Hell yeah.
I completely agree. It's always a fun time at the movies.
Okay, yeah.
Speaking of the movies, I always love this question from David. David, do you want to give your
Right.
question?
So it is movie night for you. Sit down to relax, watch a movie. What is your go-to movie snack?
Oh, okay. This is something that's only available in my home, I think, and it's the specific popcorn that Scott makes. It's simple. It's with olive oil and salt. But there's something about when the person you love makes popcorn, quote unquote, from scratch for you, that it's like made with love. To me, like, if I'm having a proper movie night, I need to have like freshly popped homemade popcorn.
And that's really good because, like, you know, popcorn just goes hand in hand with movies, right?
Yeah.
But I'm curious though, does he kind of do it like on a pan, or is he actually using it, like,
yeah, in a
full
cast iron pan with kernels. Sometimes we get these like fancy kernels from like the farmer's market, but other times it's just like a bag of something we got from the store. But yeah, like, that's why I say from scratch. It's not like microwave popcorn. It's like made in a
Right.
pan. And then if Scott's making it, Scott kind of makes two dishes. He makes eggs or popcorn. I'm sure he can cook other things, but those are the two things in our household that he cooks. And both things are delicious because of the salt and oil content is way higher than I would ever do my own. So yeah, it's exceptionally delicious. But if I'm in a movie theater, I love, you know, classic buttered popcorn from movie theater, but I also love Bunch of Crunch. And I'll go hard on some M&Ms. I mean, these are all sort of basic answers, but you know.
Classic.
Yeah, and a root beer. I'm also big into movie theaters and
nice.
for me to have root beer or cherry Coke. A thing I would never keep in my home, but I can have if I go out to a movie theater.
I always tell somebody whenever they have popcorn as their answer, usually I don't, and I just assume because we've had interviews with, you know, different directors, different parts of the US, things like that. Nobody has ever combined popcorn with like a dill pickle. Seems to be a thing here in South Texas.
That's great. I've had the fried pickles at the Alamo Draft House, which is
Oh,
different,
okay.
but
Yeah.
like that's a
Sure.
really great movie snack. I also have dill pickle seasoning that I put on everything else. So I don't know why I haven't put it on popcorn yet. It seems like a no-brainer. I'm definitely going to try that soon. Yeah, the snack factor here, if we're making it a proper blockbuster night, is always we go with the classics.
That's the
Oh,
way to
yeah.
go. Sometimes you got to go classic for movie night. You know, you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, David's one is the pickle popcorn combination. For me, where I come from in Scotland, we have it's never usually butter popcorn. It's either sweet or salty.
Oh yeah.
So kind of like kettle corn. And
I've
then
had
usually
that
you get a mix of both.
when we shot The Gorge. We lived in London for about 9 months, and so I went to a couple of more than a couple cinemas there. And the sweet salty combo popcorn is not a thing we do here, but
No,
is very delicious.
It's good.
underrated for sure. And as well, you're in LA. You
Mhm.
mentioned. So do you like red vines or do you prefer Twizzlers? Because I know there is a big debate between red vines and Twizzlers. It's like a common one between the West Coast and the East Coast, I guess. But as
I
someone who is probably both,
I'm making a lot of faces right now. I don't know if there's a video function on this podcast or if it's all audio, but for the listeners at home, I'm making a disgusted face. Listen, I am generally anti-licorice, period. I like a lot of weird flavors, but I'm not huge into licorice. I find Twizzlers, even though where I'm from, in upstate New York, Twizzlers were the only thing that was available when I was a kid. And in terms of the two, I thought they were disgusting, just disgusting. They're like plastic. Red vines are tolerable, but Twizzlers, get out of here.
I love a good
No way.
Twizzler, but it's definitely not for everyone. It's an acquired taste because of the texture. I totally understand.
A chewing plastic taste.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I also really love like sour stuff. We did a lot of sour straws when I was in middle school. Sour straws, sour patch
Yeah.
kids. I had a Swedish fish phase because my college roommate was really into Swedish fish, but I don't think I've had one in a long time.
yeah, I'm usually there was a candy that I would get in Scotland, and it was called Revels. I don't know if you ever had them when you were in.
Devils.
Yeah, they're
No.
it's a mix. So it's a mix of different chocolate covered candies, I guess. So the one is like a chocolate
Yeah.
milk chocolate like sphere. Then there's like a Malteser in it. There was like they used to have peanut, but I think they took it out. And then they had coffee and orange, and it's like every bag is like a mixture of all of them. And I would get that, and then I would have a handful of popcorn and put some Revels in it, and then enjoy that. And it's like a crazy flavor experience.
I believe that the UK has a better understanding of sweets than anywhere else.
I agree.
I really like its next level, the chocolate game particularly. I mean, while we were shooting there, I gained a lot of weight. I ate a lot of biscuits and chocolate and caramellos, I think, or just Cadbury products in general that aren't available here. I mean, same with if you go to Canada and you're suddenly you're in Planet Nestle. I remember when I worked, I was an apprentice on a Rivera Lepage show, which is a theater thing. And I was not really drinking coffee at the time. I was like 19. But the gas station right by where the theater was had chocolate milk, which I was really into. I was just into Nesquik. But then I was in Canada and I went to get a Nesquik and I was like, oh, there's 50 kinds here. And there's a coffee crunch version. And yeah, I was in heaven. but Nestle products are really dangerous for me. I will not stop.
Yeah, I got David onto Coffee Crisp.
Oh, yeah.
Oh god,
The little miniature ones, and
so good.
they're just perfect.
Yep,
Tim Hortons, of course, is a staple in Canada.
yep.
There's rumors that they put nicotine in their coffee.
I believe it.
Addicted.
No, I
Yeah.
think that all of the Canadian junk food has whatever they're putting in Cool Ranch Doritos that just like triggers the addictive part of your brain where you're like, I'm not stopping till I get to the bottom of this. Like,
Yeah,
And you
to
just
make
lick the
sure.
bag at the bottom at the
yeah,
end.
yep. Just covered in dust and shame.
I regret nothing.
Yeah, I was we were too far out in the middle of nowhere to have anything but what craft services had on Black Phone 2, which was a real blessing because if we had been closer to civilization, I would have restarted my Nestle habit in a big way.
That's awesome.
I love that.
But I just want to say that The Gorge was one of my favorite movies of 2025. It was such a great movie. I've probably watched it maybe like 14, 15 times already, just putting it on. 'Cause it's
That's
such a great.
so that's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. It was a hard one to make. It took a lot, and I'm really glad that it seemed I knew when it was finishing up, and one of the things that I said to Scott when we watched it back for the last time, I was like, I think this is going to be some people's favorite movie, like just full stop.
It was a really great film. The only thing that I can say that I was not upset but sad about was that it didn't get like a wide theater release. That was the only.
Sure.
I really think it would have done really well in the theater.
It was it looked really good on a big screen, but only the test screening audiences ever got to see it that way, which was
Man.
kind of a shame. Like those lucky ducks had no idea. But yeah, you know, I think it's really nice. I think that movie is going to continue to have a really nice life, and I hope it doesn't become one of those things that like vanishes with the certain. You know, I hope they provide us a physical way to see it at some point.
Absolutely.
Like Apple, I would like a DVD of that movie.
Right. Yeah, I would totally love a steelbook or a special collector's edition from it. But anytime that I see anybody or talk with a friend or anything, they're looking for a good movie to watch, I always recommend it because it's got a little bit of everything. It's got a little bit of horror, sci-fi, action, romance. It's got a little bit of everything.
It's also got a little. I don't think that either one of us has ever talked about this, but the I love you back is like a cutesy me and Scott thing. Because I really object to I love you too. I feel like it's a cop out. So yeah, it's a little bit of a there's also a cutscene, which would be great if there was a DVD because you put it on there. There's an amazing cutscene of Anya dancing and baking that cake to like a Ramones song. It's anyway. Someday the world will
Fingers
see
crossed.
it. I'll help campaign for the steelbook.
Please do. That would be awesome.
But yeah, with that being said, I think we can probably start to wrap things up for you and get you back. Thank you again, Maggie, for taking the time.
Oh,
this was an absolute pleasure.
What a joy. Really
so
lovely talking to you. And including the candy discussion, which I was not expecting. I realize I have a lot of like passionate feelings about.
That's kind of our thing. That's how we like to end things on the show. We like to end on a sweet or salty way. We always like to wrap up on the snack question.
It's great.
So
I love it.
Movies and snacks go hand in hand. We got to do it.
Yeah. It was so nice having this conversation with both of you. This was really lovely. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And if you want to tell people, I'll have links in the in our description whenever people watch this. But if you want to tell people where to follow you, if there's any other work that you've got coming up that you want people to be aware of, then now's your time.
Yeah. Well, Black Phone 2 is in theaters, at least in the US. Don't know our international release dates, but I do think it's all in the month of October. Go to the theater, bring your friend. Horror is best experienced communally, so bring all your friends. And in terms of where you can find me, I'm at Maggie Levin on Instagram. That's of all the social media, that's primarily where I am these days. And then in terms of future projects, there's some good stuff coming in the works. I'm really excited about this adaptation of Clay McClea Chapman's Ghost Eaters that I'm working on, currently writing and for myself to direct, and then a couple of other projects that should be announced in the next couple of months. But 2026 is shaping up to be a really exciting year, and it's already been like just a phenomenal 2025 in terms of the movie making side of life. The rest of the world is another story, but
Right.
in terms of the good time at the movies, that's well and good. It's intact.
But yeah,
Well, thank you both.
Thank you, Maggie. Genuinely, it's been an absolute pleasure. If there's ever anything that you're promoting at all in the future, we're more than happy to have you on again. And
Appreciate it.
yeah, we can't wait to see what comes next. And we can't wait to see Black Phone 2.
Hey, I hope you guys love it, and I'll be back with some other scary movies next year.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
we're looking forward to it.
Thank you guys.